It's my pleasure to introduce Matthew Zuccarini.
He's got a computer. There's paper.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Peter, and thank you to the Ratepayers Association for having me up here tonight, alongside some pretty big names. I'm not here to talk about a particular development or a project. I'm here as something a lot simpler. I'm here as a guy who chose to raise his family in this town and who believes in where it's headed. Next slide. My name is Matthew Zuccarini. My fiancée Amanda and I are raising two young kids right here in Wasaga Beach. Amanda's parents were among the original owners at Cranberry more than 30 years ago. So this corner of Ontario has been home for both of us for a very, very long time. I've been in real estate for 13 years, but here's the most important part that people don't know. 3 years ago, I made the biggest professional bet of my life. I walked away from the career I built in Toronto and Vaughan and restarted here in Georgian Bay. No client base, no pipeline, no name on a single listing up here, just a belief that this is where our life was supposed to be. And I want to tell you what happened next, because it says everything about this town. This community embraced us. Neighbors took the chance on a new guy. People referred me to their friends and family before I'd really even earned it. Folks I just met treated me like I'd been here all along. So when I tell you I believe in Wasaga Beach, understand I haven't just said it, I've staked my family's future on it, and this town caught us. Next slide. But my story in this town didn't start with a real estate license. It started when I was just a little kid. Some of you might know Allenwood Beach. We had a little cottage right there, and that's where I spent my summers with my late father. Entire summers, just the two of us. We'd wake up in the mornings, and the only question that mattered was what we were going to do that day. And in this town, that question had a lot of good answers. Some days it was the go-karts, some days it was the batting cages or the water slides. Some days we'd take the jet skis out on the water, and at night it was the drive-in or burning through a pocket of quarters at the arcade down at Beach 1. And when we'd done everything, we just swam. We sat on the beach, we watched the sun go down over the water. And I'll tell you something else. Sorry, I'll tell you something else. Some of my rounds of golf as a kid were played right here at Marlwood with my dad. This is the course where my game grew up. So standing in this clubhouse tonight, talking to you about this town, I won't pretend that doesn't mean something to me. Honest to goodness, those summers with my dad are some of the fondest memories of my entire life. So when Amanda and I sat down to choose where we wanted to raise our kids, this was never just a pin on the map. For me, I was coming home. Amanda and I could have stayed in the city. I started my career in Toronto and Vaughan, and believe me, the work was there. But when it came time to start our family, we sat down and we asked ourselves one simple question. Where do we actually want our kids to grow up? The answer wasn't a longer commute or a smaller backyard. It was right here. We had room to breathe, the water at the end of the street, and a town that's still small enough that people know your name. So let me tell you what a good week here actually looks like, because none of this is on a brochure. It's just a regular Tuesday. We've got the longest freshwater beach in the world, 10 minutes from my front door. We've got trails and parkland you could explore for years and never run out. Our house backs right onto the Wasaga River. So on my days off, I walk down to the bank and fish for an hour or two. In the fall, that river runs with salmon and steelhead. And I want you to think about that. World-class fishing at the end of my backyard. There are people who plan entire vacations around what I get to do right before lunch. There's golf on courses people drive hours for. and you already know what this particular one means to me. There's a backyard big enough to actually garden in, and big enough for the kids to run around themselves. And my personal favorite, ball under the lights. I've played on a co-ed slow pitch team for 3 seasons now. And one day I hope to be the one coaching my own kids out there. That right there isn't a hobby. That's community. And that's the thing that surprised me the most when we moved here. It wasn't the scenery. It was the belonging. Because community is the foundation of Wasaga Beach. Amanda and I both have deep roots in this area, but the belonging I'm talking about, you can feel it in the everyday things. When you buy local here, your money stays here with real families. Think about the restaurants in this town for a second, owned by actual families. Keroba, Barcello's, the Iron Skillet, the Hive, I could keep going. When we eat there, we're not feeding a corporation. We're helping our neighbors' kids get to college. It's the farmers markets. It's the farms with their own market stands, where my kids can see exactly where their food comes from. It's being able to drive 10 minutes and buy fresh eggs straight from the farm. You cannot do that in the city. Up here, it's just how we live. No, and that, sorry, go back. And that photo right behind me, that's a real day at our house. We're Italian, and we work hard to keep our traditions alive. We grow our own food, we make our own sauce, our own bread, and our own pizza. Everything you see in that pot, my father taught me how to make. And now I get to pass it down to my son, who loves the garden just as much as I do. That's what this town gives us. The room and the pace of life to actually hand those traditions to the next generation. And I'll get personal for a minute because I think you should know why this community means so much to me. A few years ago, on what should have been just an ordinary day, my heart went into something called ventricular tachycardia. My heart rate climbed to 283 beats per minute. I was very close to not making it, and I almost died. The doctors and nurses in the emergency department at the Collingwood General and Marine Hospital cardioverted me. They shocked my heart, and they brought me back to life. The team in the ICU watched over me for over a week. They saved my life. From there, I was transferred to South Lake, where they fitted me with a defibrillator, an ICD in my chest, and I carry it with me right here, standing here. And I don't tell you that for sympathy. I tell you because those people, that hospital and its foundation, are the reason I get to be a father. They are the reason why Amanda has a partner, and the reason I get to stand in front of you guys here tonight. And you want to know what a big part of my recovery actually looked like? It was not a gym, and it was not looking at a chart. It was standing on our beach, holding my son, watching the sun go down over the water. The same sunsets I watched with my dad from Allenwood Beach. That was the medicine. Something like that. Something like that changes how you see everything. Time, family, what actually matters. This town didn't just give me a lifestyle. In a very, very real way, it gave me my life back. So when I talk about giving back to this community, for me, it's not a slogan. It's a debt that I'm grateful to spend the rest of my life repaying. And here's something I want everyone in this room to hear. That hospital is getting a new home, a brand new hospital on a brand new site, with the province committing more than $95 million so far to make that happen. And we, yeah, you should applaud that. That's amazing. We benefit from that directly here in Wasaga Beach, because make no mistake, it may say Collingwood General and Marine on the sign, but that is Wasaga Beach's hospital too. It's where our emergencies go. It's where my life was saved. And the foundation will be raising its share for that new build. So the community support I'm talking about matters now more than ever. And I'll tell you how close to home that hits for me professionally. I've had the privilege of helping several of the new doctors and staff at that hospital find their new homes right here in Wasaga Beach. Think about that for a second. The people who save our lives are choosing to live in our town. They need homes too, and every one of them who settles here makes this community stronger and safer. In a big city, you're a number. Here, you're a name. And that's the part that you generally cannot put a price on. Now, I do this for a living, so let me put on my realtor hat for just a few minutes here, because what I see every week is good for every single person in this room. Whether you're buying, you're selling, or you've owned your home for over 40 years. Here's what's changed. Young families from the city are calling me more and more often, and they tell me a version of the exact same story. They're staring down the choice between a small condo or paying rent on a house in the city forever. And they've realized that up here, for that same money, they can own a real home with a real backyard. And I want to say this clearly because you don't get to hear it much anymore. In Wasaga Beach, the dream of home ownership is still alive for people under 40. That is a rare and precious thing in this country right now. And it's one of the greatest gifts this town has to offer. But here's the thing. When I dig into why these families actually move, it's never just the house. They want their kids to be safe. They want them to grow up in a real community with real values. They want their kids to be able to ride their bikes around the neighborhood and stay out of trouble, be known by their names. They say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, folks, this town is that village, and I know because it's raising mine. And I'll give you one example of what it looks like to put your money where your mouth is. When our own kids needed a daycare, we hit the same wall that every young family in this town hits. There are waiting lists that run for months, some places years. So I did something about it the only way I knew how. I scouted this town on hand and foot for off-market properties on my own time to find a property for a badly needed daycare facility. And we found one. It'll be run by another new family moving into town, and it opens this fall on Duncairn Street. That to me is the whole story of this town in one example. A problem a family faced. Neighbors working on it together. A new family welcomed in to help solve it, and our kids better off for it. Home ownership is the Canadian dream. It's how families build security and put down roots. And I want to see more people able to afford that dream right here in Wasaga Beach, not priced out of it. But for people to own homes, they need good jobs with real incomes to support them. Jobs and housing go hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. And when more families can afford to own here, property values stay strong and healthy. That isn't just good for sellers or for me. It lives every homeowner in this town, and it grows the tax base that pays for the services that we all rely on. Strong property values are good for everybody. And here's the exciting part. This isn't someday. It's already happening. We've got a Costco coming to town. Yeah, right? It's a $50 million investment, opening its doors this fall, bringing in more than 370 good and high-paying jobs right here. And Costco is one of the best employers around, one of the most high-paying employers around. And that matters more than just convenience for us who are shoppers. Those are hundreds of people and families who can now afford to actually own a home in this town and give their kids a really good life. We've got a new food basics coming. The main strip is being revitalized and brought back to life. Yeah. And here's the one that really hits home for me as a dad. Right now, Wasaga Beach is the largest community in Ontario without a high school. Think about that. Our kids currently bus out of town every single morning. Well, that is about to end. 2 new schools are being built, backed by over $120 million from the province. Yeah. My kids will go to St. Noel for elementary, and eventually to one of the 2 new high schools going up minutes from our house. That isn't just construction, that's this community investing directly in our families and in our future. And it goes beyond our town limits. Through Destination Wasaga, Premier Ford and the Ontario government are investing $38 million into Wasaga Beach, into our tourism, our downtown along Beach Drive, our infrastructure, and bringing Nancy Island back to life. Think about what that means. The province looked across Ontario and decided that this town, our town, is worth betting on. The people whose job it is to spot potential see exactly what we see. Piece by piece, this town is leveling up from the Wasaga of the 80s and 90s into something really special. And honestly, we're just getting started. So why am I optimistic about what's coming? Because growth done right is how a good town becomes a great one. We look forward to seeing this town grow. We want our local businesses to thrive, and we want residents to have all the amenities and the comforts that they expect in 2026 and beyond. The things any modern town should offer. But here's the balance. We want all of that while keeping as much of that small town feel as we possibly can. The beach, knowing your neighbors, the reasons we all came here. I don't believe we have to choose. Growth and character can live side by side if we're thoughtful about how we do it. And let me say one thing plainly, because I know it's on a lot of minds tonight. Whatever we build, the beach has to stay public, and it has to stay protected. That shoreline is the heart of this town. I grew up on it, my kids are growing up on it, so keeping it public, keeping it healthy, that matters as much to my family as much as anyone's in this room. I don't think being excited about our future and protecting what makes us special are opposites. I think they're the exact same job. No. There we go. So before I wrap up, I just wanted to take a moment to thank the people in this room. The Wasaga Beach that my family fell in love with did not happen by accident. It was built by folks like you, the ones who showed up, who volunteered, who served, who put in the years. The town we see today is your work. And where it's headed tomorrow is in very good hands because you're still at it. So on behalf of my family and every young family planting roots here because of what you've built, thank you. And past the market, the projects, and all of it. This right here is what it's all for. These are my kids, Gianluca and Juliana. They get to grow up in the same town that raised me. And that one on the beach there, that was during my recovery. And we actually didn't even know that we were pregnant with Juliana at that time. And that is the reason why I'm standing up here tonight. I think there's one more. Yeah. So I'll leave you with this. Amanda and I didn't just move to Wasaga Beach. We're betting on it. Everything we have is here. And everything that we're building is here. Let's keep building the kind of town our kids won't want to leave. Thank you.